He's just sitting in Brette's lap.
Susan, Buck, Brette, and Taylor. Love the big pause before Brette. You can do that again. Larry, Curly, Mo.
I can probably answer that question best.
The winemaker himself speaks.
The area that we're in, being the coolest climate of the Napa Valley, it's suited for those varieties that don't take as much sunshine to mature. So because of that, and the fact that we have a large vineyard, we have 160 acres of land, which has about potentially 120 acres of plantable land. We're able to grow a lot of different varieties in different blocks. So within our vineyard, I primarily we grow Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, but in addition to those two varieties, which represents about 50% of the overall planting, we grow Gewürztraminer, an early maturing German variety that's well suited to this area. Pinot Grigio, a mutated form of Pinot Noir, cool climate, works well here. We do a dessert wine, a Muscat Canelli, so we have that variety that we grow. We also do a red wine called Dolcetto.
Yes.
A favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
We were looking for an additional wine for our wine club, and climatically, where it's grown in Italy, it's suited for a cooler climate area. So we went ahead and planted that, and it's turned out to be well suited for our area. We do grow Cabernet and Merlot, which is probably a little cool, but it produces an interesting wine in that in the Cabernet grown in a cooler climate, you end up with softer tannins, not as big as you would get up valley, say in the Rutherford or Oakville area. Also just recently planted a little bit of Vermentino. In the future, we will also have that variety to play with. Well, right now, yeah, we're seeing the results of California's going through the worst drought it's experienced, and I happen to be a dry farmer, which means I don't irrigate, so when we have our normal rainfall here is about 20 to 25 inches of rain. The last couple of years, we've only gotten about 12 or 14 inches of rain. So that really has limited the amount of production. Because I made a decision to dry farm, I selected drought-tolerant rootstock that I grafted those varieties onto. So the vineyard has held up well, even though we haven't had an abundance of rain. We have a very reduced amount of crop, so the crop has been down. And then prior to the drought, we had the fires. So the fires also affected us adversely. So we've gone through the last 3 or 4 years a pretty hard period of time for growing grapes here in the Carneros area of the Napa Valley.
This place turned into a child care center.
Not really.
Well, we used to a lot. We had the kids here a lot. They got to explore the whole entire winery.
Some of my favorite, well, when the pandemic started, my children's daycare closed. So I became a full-time mom, which was exciting. And at the time they were, 1.5 and 2. So they're only a year and a half apart, roughly. And some of my favorite photos is I would bring them here attempting to get work done. So there would be toys everywhere in the entryway, and then Mom and Dad would take them out, and we have this pea gravel in the front, and they would play in the pea gravel as if it was sand. And so I have photos of Mom and Dad sitting out there with the two kids, and it's, you know, pandemic stories.
Well, he came every day just like there was no pandemic.
Sure.
And sat at his desk or worked in the back because there's always some things to do.
You just didn't have visitors.
It was
It's lonely.
I mean, we all came down here, so we had each other and social. And I think Taylor might have used us for her, like, instead of having theater productions, she gave these lavish parties throughout the pandemic. And we didn't realize it, I think, until the end that we were actually the cast members.
Well, you couldn't go anywhere. So, you know, it was someone's birthday, and I would go to the theater and steal all of our set decor. And we had a Hawaiian theme party for Frank, and
Right.
Mom had a circus party. And
I want to give credit to my dad for his being very frugal, and that got us through the pandemic just fine. And owning your own land and that.
I could probably speak to that. I think so. I know we're moving on from talking about the pandemic, but the pandemic did change our business a little bit. We have always received buses from San Francisco. That's been a huge source of our daily visitation. Buses from San Francisco, but also local tour buses as well. Sure. However, because of the pandemic, we saw a significant increase in visitors, walk-ins, making appointments on their own, so not coming to us on a bus, which is a little bit different for us, and we found to be quite nice, actually. Obviously, when you have a bus visit, they are here for a set amount of time. They have a certain selection of wines that they taste, but when you have that one-on-one experience, you're more apt to be able to allow them to taste more wines. They have the opportunity to purchase what they taste, may have a wine club sign up, and they may also be repeat customers because they could live close by, so they would drive back and visit us. So that's just been a big shift in our daily business. We still have the buses, and they have started to increase. I mean, weekends we're seeing like 8 buses a day again at times. So I don't know. It's just been interesting to see the differences, and also a younger clientele. We've noticed a lot younger clientele coming to visit us.
My earliest memories are roller skating in the winery and whatnot, because it was the 80s back in the day. But, you know, learning the stages of working in the back and working in the tasting room through the years and learning the office. And I want to point out that one thing that my parents did that was unique, it was that they never asked, or forced rather, Taylor or I to come into the business. They have said, if you would like to join into the business, it's here for you. And I can say that I've known some people in the industry, children in the generations in the industry, that have wanted to come in, and their parents have resisted. So we're very fortunate in the fact that we had the opportunity to grow up in the vineyard, experience and see how hard my dad works, see how hard my mom works, and then become a part of that.
It's madonnaestate.com.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.